Welcome, everyone. This is the Tuesdays Wrestling Talk, and we are going to talk first off about World Championship Wrestling. Hello, Rodney. Hello, Jack. We're going to talk World Championship Wrestling. I think this aired Saturday, June 15th, 1985. A pretty good episode, I thought, of World Championship. Probably one of the best I've seen. How about you guys?
Yep, I agree with that.
Really, it was a really good show. It opened up. I think this match was from the Omni. I'm not certain, but I think this match was from the Omni. Magnum PA and Dusty Rhodes against Tully Blanchard and Abdullah the Butcher. Magnum reverses an attempted suplex by Tully, and then he gives the tag to Dusty, and Dusty comes in and starts clearing house. And then he body slams Abdullah, which seemed like that could have been very detrimental to both of those guys.
Yeah.
And then the sleeper for Tully, and then it freeze frames and goes. I thought this was a great way to open the show.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought this was just superb. Tony Schiavone is flying solo on this program. Evidently, Nikita Koloff did not like David Crockett's commentary. He was not alone, but I don't know what happened. They never talked about it, but he wasn't on the show, and they said he suffered an injury at the hands of Nikita Koloff. But now he had been on several of the shows. Now, had he been saying he didn't like Nikita Koloff?
I don't recall him ever saying he didn't like him. But I saw the incident with David Crockett. David Crockett was interviewing Ivan Koloff, and he told him during the because he was talking about Ric Flair, talking about why Ric Flair's dodging Nikita Koloff and etc. And David was just being obnoxious. I mean, he really was obnoxious, and he told at one point, he said, listen, just be quiet for a minute. And then, and all this time, Nikita's standing in front, and he's kind of going, did he just tell my uncle to shut up? And then he turns and he gives him the Russian sickle. And that was the end of that.
Was that not on Worldwide?
Yeah. Yeah. It was really good. And like I said, David was really, really aggressive with Ivan in that. And like I said, he told him to shut up at one time. And then that was like, did he tell him to shut up? Well, he just kept on, and he turned around. He kind of deserved it.
Well, there you go. Well, if he deserved it, then he deserved it. All right, Jack, the first match on the program was Dick Slater and Buzz Sawyer against Ron Rossi and Mark Hill. What'd you think about the match, Jack?
I thought it was awesome, mainly because I don't think they ever tagged Ron Rossi in. But it was it was very aggressive. It was very well paced. There was not a moment that somebody wasn't doing something. And if you're going to basically just job a guy, this is the way you do it. You know, you don't slow down. I thought it was a great match.
Rodney, did you like the match?
Yeah, it was pretty decent. And we got to see both Buzz Sawyer's power slam, but unusual with Dick Slater using a figure four. Of course, we find out later on he's working up to the match with he and Ric Flair. So that's the reason I think he used it in that match.
Well, then Tony Schiavone interviews Manny Fernandez. The interview made no sense whatsoever. I'm sorry, but I didn't understand what he was even talking about. Did y'all get it, Jack? Did you get this?
I didn't.
If I could only read lips, I always turn the volume down when he's speaking. So if I could have read his lip, I might have been able to understand it, but I don't read lips.
I just didn't get it. He needed to explain it better than he did. I mean, I think he was talking about Vietnam and 15 years too late, but it didn't make any sense. He needed to tell that story just a little better. Then Raging Bull Manny Fernandez went against Randy Barber. He did the double thrust, just a typical Manny Fernandez match. It didn't really stand out to me. How about you guys?
Yeah, I agree with that. And Randy was always a good hand. He could have given him a little something and made that match a little bit more interesting. But again, it was a typical Manny match where Manny's not going to give anybody the time of day. So, Here's what it is.
I found out when you fast forward it and get him going in fast motion, it's a lot better.
Hey, I will tell you this. Old Randy Barber got them people riled up at the beginning of the match.
He did.
I mean, he was showing that, he could rile them up. Then Tony Schiavone says that Dusty Rhodes has sustained a serious injury at the hands of Tully Blanchard with Baby Doll. Dusty is coming out. He's wearing dark sunglasses and a huge bandana underneath his right eye. He does this interview. And what did y'all think about the interview from I guess it was supposedly his office, right?
Yeah, and playing some David Allan Coe music as they segued into that. I thought it was pretty good.
Well, maybe maybe I got this out of context right here. Maybe they showed a match of that, or was this during this? Was this the clip that came up next?
Inside, they were talking about what happened with Tully Blanchard and Baby Doll. They don't show what happened on TBS. I guess TBS wouldn't allow it shown, but it actually is from the beginning part where we just saw with Tully Blanchard and Abdullah against TA and Dusty. It was the continuation. A Baby Doll comes into the ring with a wig. She hands Tully Blanchard something, and then apparently they do a number on him. We don't see it. I guess it couldn't pass the censors at TBS.
But that is the interview I'm talking about. He did do the interview, and he had photographs behind him. Okay, all right. I had a moment. I had a moment that I didn't think I was right, which could be the truth. Who knows? All right. Then the Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy Valiant, against Larry Clark. Jack.
Oh, I love this match. Jimmy Valiant is just so energetic. And it wasn't a short match, but very entertaining. And I got to hand it to this guy. It's the first time I'd ever seen him, but he did a great job working with Jimmy Valiant. I mean, he was there for everything Jimmy wanted to do, which just makes Jimmy look even better. So it was good.
Yeah, Jimmy Valiant always at some point he did kiss Tony Schiavone at the beginning of this.
He did. That was so funny.
Too.
Yeah, I don't think the referee, Steve Gregory, wasn't his name? What was his name? Steve Gregory? What was his name?
I don't remember.
Whatever the guy's referee's name was, he didn't particularly put it over very well, I noticed. He wasn't going for that at all. Then Ric Flair comes out and does his interview, and this is the first time he mentions Space Mountain on this interview.
Right. And then he also talks about Nikita Koloff, Magnum TA, talking about being the world champion, and talks about they don't talk Dusty this time, but he did definitely talk about Nikita Koloff and Magnum TA on this one.
Ric Flair was good in this interview. It was a different interview than he's done before. Don't you think, Jack?
Yeah, it was very good.
This is what he said I guess it was almost the end of the interview. He said, I want to do a special announcement to all the tourists that are driving through Georgia. You don't have to go to Florida. Space Mountain is right here. And then he starts the Space Mountain from that point on. And then we get to see Kamala, the Ugandan giant. Actually, it was Kimala on this show. They spelled it actually as Kimala. I noticed on the Chiron there. With General Skandar Akbar against Alan Martin. Jack?
They were every bit as exciting on TBS as they were in Mid-South.
Yes.
So
I thought it was refreshing to see Kamala and Akbar on the show. It just gave something different to the show. It was somebody we hadn't seen in since it started. But I thought it was a good addition for Kamala, and we could have at least got him an interview out of Akbar while he was out there too, especially asking the reason why he was there. Magnum T at the desk, apparently setting up some matches with TA and Kamala. Of course, they could have showed some stuff, I guess, from Mid-South as well, because the show had just played on TBS, prior to them taking over Sunday nights on World Championship Wrestling, the best stuff.
Hey, I noticed on this, though, Kamala comes from the top turnbuckle and does the big splash from the top.
That's right. And because in the Mid-South, it is a disqualification to come off the top rope.
Well, I feel pretty bad for Alan Martin when he had to take that thing, because that looked kind of brutal. So
I always love the response of the crowd when they see Kamala. I always love the response of the crowd.
And he also did the thing where he had to be reminded to turn the guy over after that. I thought that was a pretty good thing as well. And right after that, Magnum TA, and this time return match evidently against Carl Styles. I thought Carl had a chance. I thought it was going to go long. 28 seconds, bell to bell. It was over. Poor old Carl can't win for absolutely losing. Hey, I will have to say this. The guys, the enhancement talent was a whole lot better in this TV show.
Tremendously better.
And
they must have not had a sign up at the front of the studio saying we just need wrestlers. I think they didn't do that this week.
I believe I did hear that they were doing the tapings now on Saturday, so that means Mike Jackson's crew would be available for Saturdays and not working Mid-South on Wednesday nights.
All right, there, Rodney. After that, Tony Schiavone is interviewing. Hey, by the way, I love this show without David Crockett on it. I thought it was love you, David Crockett, but I thought it was a lot better without him going. Watch it. Yeah, I'm sorry, I just can't stand. Anyway, Buzz Sawyer, Dick Slater come out to an interview, Rodney.
Yep. The Slater is out there doing his talking. He's talking about Flair, which I alluded to earlier that he did the figure 4 in his matches. Talking about Arn Anderson, Ole Anderson, talking about what happened with Brett Sawyer the week before. Just tremendous. And then, of course, Buzz, super intense, certainly.
Yes. And then we go, Jack, the NWA National Tag Team titles on the line. Ole and Arn Anderson, the champions, defend their titles right there on television against the Italian Stallion and Chief Joe Lightfoot. Jack, what did you think about this match?
I thought that was a great matchup. And Joe was tremendous in this match. I mean, why he wasn't getting used is beyond me, because he was just flawless in this match and looked fantastic.
Yeah.
So it was really good.
Rodney?
Yeah, tremendous. When he finally makes the tag with Italian Stallion, he's a house of fire. People were really responding. I mean, the Andersons did the right thing, got the heat on Italian Stallion, so they make the tag, and Joe came in a house of fire. Of course, then he was stopped and then stomped, and then it's all over. Corkbuster, and then the flying knee drop or knee off the top rope from Ole, and then that was the end. Referee actually stopped the match in this one.
Well, did y'all see the slow-mo on this top rope knee coming down on Lightfoot?
Yeah, I saw it.
That seemed like that could have been very dangerous, because he actually came down more on his back than he did his arm. And man, I'm sorry, but that had to hurt. That had to hurt because it just didn't seem like it hit where it needed to hit. But it was a great match for television. That was a spectacular match. And Ole and Arn showed why they are some of the greats in professional wrestling. They really had a good match with Italian Stallion Joe Lightfoot. Chief Joe Lightfoot had been wrestling for a long time right there in Georgia, because in 1982 I think he was wrestling in Georgia. He was great then. I mean, he didn't get a push then either, so it never made any sense.
The only thing he needs to do is watch out for those top ropes. You never know when your foot's gonna get caught on it.
Yeah, he did. Knoxville, Tennessee. He thought Rodney had grabbed his leg as he was jumping over the top rope, and his headdress came over top of his face. It was an embarrassing situation for old Chicho Lightfoot, but he was trying to blame someone else. He just got over the top rope. And then Tony Schiavone interviews Tully Blanchard with Baby Doll. I thought this was great. What do you think, Ray? I thought this.
Oh yeah, I mean, he really stuck it to Dusty in this one, and I'm gonna just tell you honestly, I think Tully is turned out, as far as I'm concerned, on this show, to really be the top star. I really do, especially with the rivalry with he and Dusty. The interviews are he's not doing any hollering. He's just telling it like it is. Dusty's, you come out here, you said bad things about Baby Doll, and this is what happens to you when you say bad things about Baby Doll. I think one of our insiders was talking about that. Tully actually threw a fireball on Dusty, which we did not see, and I do remember seeing that in other videos.
Jack, what did you think about this interview? Because really, what Tully Blanchard was saying was kind of true. He said, Dusty, you come out here and you said something, you got hurt. You did something else, and I hurt you again. And then I hurt you again. I've hurt you 3 times now. What do you think is going to happen to you the next time? I might cripple you next time. That was just tremendous interview by Tully Blanchard.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, one of the key things about being an effective heel is that you have to justify why you're such a bad guy. And he does this with every interview that he does. He justifies why he is the way he is. And he did it. He just cemented it here again. I love the way he uses the truth. Now he may embellish it a little bit. And he uses it to his advantage, but it's him.
I love the line to Dusty, bark in someone else's yard.
Yep.
That's what he told. And I love that line. It was fantastic.
Tully was so good this time. Tully.
I really, like I said, I think he's shining. I think he's outshining everybody right now on this show.
After the commercial, we're back with Tony Schiavone. And for the first time on this program, and I really enjoyed it, that the only problem was, I think the mic must have been in the other room somewhere. And it was Nikita Koloff in street clothes with Ivan standing behind him. From now on, they probably need to put the mic closer to the guys when they're talking. But that's in the Omni. That is actually in the Omni in Atlanta, where the dressing rooms and stuff are. They kind of have a curve because the offices were around in that same vicinity years ago in World Championship Wrestling. It was a good interview. And so I'm gathering Nikita Koloff had a return match coming up with Ric Flair, maybe in the Omni. Good interview.
And this was different because Nikita did all the talking.
Yeah,
and it looked very good with Ivan in the background just nodding his head. Looked very, very good, and it came off just brilliant.
I thought Nikita at any time was going to pull the Incredible Hulk thing and rip out of that shirt that was tight as them sleeves were. That was awesome.
He looked good in that thing. He took up almost the whole aisle way. Nikita was really good. Nikita was tremendous wrestler and had it from the beginning. So we have to give him that. Then the Barbarian with Paul Jones goes against Jason Walker. I can't say much about this because on the video I watched, it just went off, and then all at once it came back.
Yes, there was technical difficulties, or as we like to call it, another day at Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. It came off, and it's funny. Apparently, the Barbarian watched the Kamala's match and decided to come off on the guy off the top rope.
Yeah, he did the headbutt.
It was a headbutt, though.
Yeah. Evidently, they lost. They either did that or they knew the match was so bad that they just said there's something wrong with it.
I'm just wondering if it's actually the tape. The tape that people had was the problem.
Yeah, I think that was it.
No, actually, on the one I watched, it came up and said technical difficulties. We'll return in just a moment. That was what was on that. Jason Walker was the guy that was wrestling against him, and Jason, great wrestler. And but we didn't get to see much of the match because it just wasn't there. So, and then I enjoyed. I thought it was tremendous. Again, while Tully Blanchard is so good at what he did. Tully Blanchard with Baby Doll. I think the World Television title might have been on the line on this against Gerald Finley. Jack, what did you think about this?
Very smooth match. Again, Tully just he made Gerald Finley look like $1 million. And Gerald, to his credit, was able to step in and cash that check that Tully wrote for him. So it was very good. That crowd, they just knew they were fixing to see Gerald Finley beat him. I mean, that's how good Tully knows how to tell a story in that ring. It was just a great match.
Rodney, this is what I thought about this. He took over the whole match. Finally, totally got mad at him and showed, hey, if I get mad at you, I'm going to whip you and I'm going to beat you. And it told a great story in this match. What did you think, Rodney?
This was, like I said, Tully is the star now, as far as I'm concerned. Yep. I think he overshadows everybody, and it's because of what he just did. You look forward to seeing the next Tully Blanchard match. You don't look forward to seeing the next Barbarian match. I won't go any further because I'll be making apologies. But anyway, Tully is. This was perfectly. This is how you do. This is how you put together a TV match right here, and it didn't last long once Tully took back over. Went right into the slingshot, and that was it. And so it was absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect match.
All right, then another great match takes place. Ric Flair's out there with his robe. He's telling why he's the legend. I'm Slick Rick. I'm Space Mountain. Just awesome interview. And he's running all the people down. He talks about Magnum TA and tells them he needs to get a fancier clothes. He says he don't want that. Magnum TA's got $1,000 and says he can beat him in 10 minutes. He can beat him in 10 minutes. Jack, what did you think about this whole entire angle?
I think that was a main event match in any arena that you go to. I mean, these guys, two guys, top of their game, giving it everything they had in that match. And the crowd response was tremendous because they were seeing a main event match and they realized that. And it was just great. I mean, it was just great back and forth. Flair knew how to make him look good. Magnum knew when it was time for him to give that back. It was just great. Two guys who knew how to work.
Now, this was a non-title match, 10 minutes. Ole Anderson comes out during this. And this is what I thought was very interesting in the commentary in this match. He says, I don't know if anybody knows this or not, but I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag. Right here, Ole and Arn Anderson, you're looking at our cousin, Ric Flair. Had they not even told that story? I think they did in Mid-Atlantic, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Never on TBS, that must have never been told because they made a big deal out of it. That was a powerful moment, I think, on television because for wrestling fans that didn't know, they're going, hey, man, no wonder they like each other so much. Something else that I thought was good. Ole was magnificent in the commentary here. How about Rodney? What did you think?
I loved it. How he said that Flair had him in the figure 4 at the end of that match. He gave up. What are you talking about? He won $1,000. He had him in the hold. And Tony said, "You must have been watching the other match. It was TA who had Flair in the figure 4. What are you talking about?"
I also thought Ole was on this because he said the only reason Magnum TA is the United States Heavyweight Champion is because we're the tag team champions. Ric Flair is the world heavyweight champion, and we can't hold 2 belts. But if we could, we'd already have that United States title. I thought, man, great heel. Always shows. I mean, am I telling the truth, Jack? That's the reason he was hated as much as he hated.
Ole Anderson was legit, and he loved to be a heel, and it showed with everything he did. And Ole was one of the better workers of his generation, too.
At some point, Arn Anderson gets mad at the referee for Magnum kind of throwing Flair over the top rope at some point. And Arn Anderson says, that referee's out of his doodle. What does that mean, guys? Out of his doodle. Is that just
brain?
Has anyone ever used that word ever on television before?
Well, I think he was looking for something with a little color to it and realized at the last minute he couldn't say that. So,
You're probably right.
But Magnum gets the Flair the figure 4 leg lock, like Rodney said at the end of that 10-minute. The time limit expires in that match, and that's when Ole said what he said, And Tony Schiavone was good. No, he didn't have. Yes, he had that on him. He won the match. Just good stuff, and this showed why Ric Flair is one of the greatest, and why Magnum TA would have been world heavyweight champion if he wouldn't have had that accident, because he was coming into his own, no doubt about that. This was probably one of the best episodes of all the World Championship Wrestling shows we have done so far. I think this whole show was good. There was nothing bad about it. What do you guys think? If you give it, if it was a 1 to 10, what would you give it?
9.5.
Yeah,
Rodney?
that's good. Yeah.
I say 9.5 as well. I have to take a little points off for the Barbarian Jason Walker, and not because their match is bad, it just wasn't there. So, but on our next episode, we'll look at I think it's Saturday, June 22nd, 1985. I don't watch these shows ahead of time because I don't really know what's going on from week to week, so I don't know what happens, and I will go back and look at that this week. But stick with us. Next episode, World Championship Wrestling, we'll talk about Saturday, June 22nd, 1985. I'm hoping David Crockett is still hurt, but I don't know that. I don't know that's true. All right, are we ready to go see what the insiders have got to say about World Championship Wrestling and this spectacular show? Richard Hood, he's with us. Good evening. Michael Barr is with us as well. Hello. Rodney Malcolm. What's up, guys? Arles Castillo.
Castillo.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that. Sometimes I have problems with the words. They can be easy words, too, so it doesn't have to be hard. Good evening. Well, good evening to you. Rodney said that nobody likes David. Joe Hamlin said, "What's up, guys? Well, we're talking professional wrestling. That's what we always like to do. Thank you so much, Joe, for coming on here." And he said he got sickled one time by Nikita Koloff, evidently.
Right.
Well, you're still alive to tell us about it. That was well, some say they did not like someone. What else did Brent hear about it? Well, now I will hear about it. If somebody's mad, I get to hear about it, and sometimes we'll respond, and sometimes we just let it go. It was worldwide best episode ever, I guess, when Dusty Rhodes got burnt on that show. Mimi Barboza, good evening. Good evening to you. Thank you so much for being a part of Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. Michael Barr said he deserved it. Dusty Rhodes.
I believe he's talking about David Crockett.
Oh, David Crockett. Well, yes, he did deserve that. I wanted to give him the Russian sickle myself, so I can remember his guy. It's so funny because I can remember his commentary more than I can remember some of the matches that went on. Why is this? Is it
because there was nothing going on in the match?
Oh, I got you. Good evening, everyone. I'm sorry, I'm bad. Tab Brown, thank you so much there. Doug Masters is with us. Good evening, gentlemen. Great show. Thank you so much, Doug. I'm gathering Doug still has his podcast on. He still have his podcast, so if you can get over there and watch that, please do. Daniel Lang, was Fernandez a real Vietnam veteran? Jack, was he?
No, he was not.
Oh, okay. He would have turned 18 in the summer of 1972. The American troops were being withdrawn in early 1973.
He was also not a member of the NFL, although he claimed to be. There was a Manuel Fernandez that played football, but it was not the same guy.
It just so happened that Arn Anderson called him that on the last show.
Yep.
Hey, there's Terry Branson.
Hey,
and you probably, Rodney, you're probably Terry Bronson, referee.
Yeah, I remember him.
Okay, I just wanted to
cut
you. Might not have knew. Jack, you ever meet Terry?
I don't believe so.
He refereed for Continental in the Tennessee area, USA Championship Wrestling, took the ring and everything in Knoxville. Very good referee. One of the best. Excellent. One of the best in the wrestling business, no doubt. Rodney Malcolm said through a fireball at Dusty, Brent, your walls look great. I like the photo of Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. Thank you so much. I actually worked all week last week on this and then figured out my lighting doesn't work with the actual pictures behind me. It would give I don't know what happened to it. So now I've moved over a little bit and maybe y'all won't have a light shining back to you. So, Cornell Bryant, good evening.
Hey, welcome back.
Welcome back. And we're gonna have to talk about your father. We're gonna have to talk about him on some shows. Very instrumental in professional wrestling. Drew a lot of money in the wrestling business. So we're gonna have to talk about him. Michael Barr said Jimmy Valiant, a great wrestler. More of a wrestler, just a personality.
Great personality.
Yeah. Great personality.
I mean, in any level, whether he was a good guy, bad guy, in between, he was just good. Arles
Castillo.
Thank you, Jack. I may have to have you read these names. Ric Flair is Austin. Yes, he is, no doubt. Michael Barr, were there ever sit-down interviews with Ric Flair back then? I believe there were when he went for the Starrcade in December, wasn't there? Mm-hmm. Well, Michael, are you talking about? We know there wasn't no shoot interviews. I'm guessing he's talking about sitting down, talking to him, but I believe they did in Starrcade. They actually, what was the guy's name? Something Kent did a lot of those interviews. I don't know if it was for that Starrcade or the next one. Might have been the 1987 one that he did sit down. Jay Lethal does an incredible Flair impersonation. The two of them in TNA was hilarious.
Yeah. That was hilarious where Flair was in the ring and Lethal was on the stage and they were wooing back and forth to each other. It was awesome.
Oh, Richard, his fellas, I miss James Harris. Yeah, Kamala, the Ugandan giant. He was spectacular at that. I don't think anybody else could have done the Kamala gimmick. I really don't. Cordell Bryant said, my mother wrestled for Dick the Bruiser, Detroit, early 70s. Dick the Bruiser, one of the greats in professional wrestling, no doubt. Michael said, why was it back then to be illegal to be thrown over the top rope? Guys?
Because there were rules back then that you had to adhere to. So that disqualifications had to mean something. I mean, what do you do now to get disqualified? I mean, you can already throw people into steps and over top ropes and off the top of buildings. Today it doesn't mean anything, but back then it was part of the story.
The national
so that you have a no disqualification match, it means something. You have a cage match, It means something. If you have it's an all-out match, you never can have those matches make sense.
Well, the National Wrestling Alliance did have a set of rules, and I have those somewhere. I have the rules of the National Wrestling Alliance, and it was accepted through all the National Wrestling Alliance territories. We are going to talk about here a lot of the territories, and I will try to find those rules that I have somewhere in this house. The actual rules, the National Wrestling Alliance, the whole members come up. These are the rules that they're going to.
I'm pretty sure that's available on Google too. I think I've seen them there. So.
Okay, so we'll talk about those and why it was important for the rules. We'll get really, really deep into why that's important. Kevin said, "Hey guys, I got a question for Jack. Who would have ran Outlaw Promotions Mike Jackson came from? I've heard him tell some about it. And did Tony Landau, is that how you say his name? Landau?
Landau.
His partner come from there as well?
There were several different outlaw promotions running back in the 70s and 80s. Thurman Dolan ran independent shows out of the northwest corner of Alabama and Tennessee. Trying to think of some of those other guys. Names just escape me now, but there were several promotions I know in the state of Alabama that were running around. And Mike came up through, all of those. That's where he cut his teeth at.
Yeah, there was a guy in Huntsville that used to run. Dependent, and I can't remember his name right now, but
I can't think of their name. There's two brothers that actually live here in Gadsden, where I live. They retired in '84, but their dad promoted Anniston, Gadsden, and around in through here. Always outlaw shows, but they did work with Nick Goulas too.
Yeah, Mike was he was great. I've seen some old 70s stuff with him, a match in the 70s with him. He might have been 77, I think it might have been. But Kevin, well, I've already asked that question. I don't guess I better ask the question again. Chad Coleman said, I remember that match. Kevin Penley and Mike LaBelle was the Los Angeles promoter you were thinking of last night. Michael Barr, the slow-mo was so slow it didn't even hurt me to watch it. Richard Hood, Tully was a great talent.
Yeah.
Michael Barr totally put his heart into it, what he said as a heel. I agree with that. And he believed what he was saying. That was the thing, believe in what you were saying.
I'm not encouraging anybody to watch AEW, but if you do watch it, and the sole reason I watch it is to see Tully and Arn still get on there and do something. And Arn gets to do more interviews. Tully gets to do more interviews than Arn does, and they're great. I mean, you still feel that emotion in there and that nastiness coming out. So if you do happen to, by chance, by accident, watch AEW, look for Tully.
Kevin, I'm going to pass on what you're asking this next question about. Just because I think by saying what you're asking could construe to some profanity. So I'm going to pass on that. I'm going to pass on that one. We may have to answer that question in private. Because I don't really know I don't know what
that means. I think that means extra fries with my hamburger.
Christopher Hughes says, "What's up, guys? At work again, trying to get my pro wrestling inside out fixed." Hey, just tell me, this. It's more important for you to watch pro wrestling inside out than it is to work.
Well, you can multitask.
That's true.
Unless you're driving, you could always listen.
David Crockett put the cameraman to sleep. Oh, poor old David. Yeah, we love you, David Crockett. If you're watching this, we love you. We got to make fun of somebody on here because somebody's making fun of us at some point. So.
Sure.
I will tell Christopher Hughes said Tully was the man. He was the ringmaster. We'll put it on that.
I see that.
Richard just said he was calculating. Yes, Tully Blanchard was. He was so good at what he did. I mean, he was. But you gotta remember, I think he was a second generation wrestler. He knew what he was doing. He grew up in the wrestling business, so he kind of had the thought process there. Chad Coleman said, "Man, I loved out of Tully because he fit more than once. He great what he was doing till. Oh man, am I just reading that wrong, or is that he said he is still going strong today? That is true. Tully is still going strong.
Yep. Hey, he took a bump a couple of weeks ago. And I was surprised at his age that but he did. He took a great bump.
Slater and Sawyer, two of the most legitimate tough guys ever in the business. Dick Slater more than Buzz Sawyer. Dick Slater was probably one of the toughest people in the wrestling business. Michael Barr, Ric Flair, styling and profiling. Rodney said they did it. It was common knowledge.
Talking about Flair and the Andersons being cousins.
Oh, okay. So they did. They had already told that before.
Yeah. I remember in Georgia, Gordon and Ole had mentioned it when Flair was coming through. I guess that was to help boost Flair as he was coming. When he was coming in. champion to Georgia.
Now, poor Arn is the one who got bounced around from little brother to cousin to nephew to I'm not even sure he knew it by the time it was over.
I can already hear Dusty though. He said, "No, baby, go out there and tell them that y'all cousins, and make it like they've never been told." He said, "We'll make them believe they were never told." Michael Barr was Arn Anderson as well. I'm guessing
cousin. That's what he was talking about.
Christopher said Ole was evil, mean, and nasty.
Did y'all ever see that T-shirt that Ole wore so much that said evil, mean, and nasty?
Yeah.
He did that interview where he first wore that shirt out, and he was talking about it, and he said, "Yeah, I'm evil, mean, and nasty. My family bought me this shirt for Christmas, and this is what they think of me." I thought that was tremendous.
Kevin said, was Brent or Rodney ever a referee? No, I have never refereed. I was going to once, and I was making more money doing other stuff, so I never did. I think, Rodney, you refereed once, didn't you?
Yeah, I did once.
But we did other things, ring announcing, promoting shows, taking care of merchandise, sometimes running the concession stand, sometimes ringing the bell, sometimes picking the jackets, sometimes taking care of the matches in the back. We did so much stuff. It was more important for us to do those other things than referee at the time. So Michael Barr was Arn Anderson a cousin as well. I don't know. They moved him around too many times. I'm not for sure what he was.
Well, Ole was talking on this particular episode about them being brothers and him being a couple of years older. As they say, I'm a couple of years older. And I'm thinking you need to put that couple, that number 2, put at least a 0 behind it.
Well, he did say he trained both of them. So
yeah, he did. He did say. Jack said that Jack Lepisto, I guess how you say that, Dave. I always look forward to the NWA wrestling on WTBS 505. Good memories. Leonard said, "It is so cold here, Jack. I need you to fix me a drink and sell me one of your cigars." And I don't
hot tea, and I'll mark the cigar up, but I'll treat you right. Well, I'll treat me right.
Glenn said, yes, Arn, Ole, Gene, Flair, and Lars Anderson. A lot of times we forget about Lars. We forget that he even exists.
After he was a turncoat, I would have forgot about him as well.
Yeah.
How many times in the territories on television shows did Ric Flair almost lose the belt only to get disqualified? I think it'd be 5,000 times.
Yeah, it's a lot of times. But it drew. That's why they kept doing it.
Hello, esteemed panel. What a difference from a couple of weeks ago where the show might have ranked a 3. That's what professional wrestling is all about. Derek Lamont Boyd said, "Can you show the Nikita clothesline of David Crockett?" We can probably show you where it's at, but being able to show you personally, no, we've went down that road before. I don't think that's a road less traveled, as we'd like to say. I don't think
it is on YouTube because I saw it not too long ago.
And let's see. I sure miss hanging with you guys, but I'm a manager and I've got to manage. But we'd rather talk wrestling. I was clotheslined by Hercules Hernandez and lived. My jaw was sore for 3 days. Yes, he was one strong man, Hercules Hernandez was. And a great wrestler. They just used, we've said this before, they just used him wrong in WWF.
Oh, yeah. Completely.
Richard wanted to know, Rodney, how long did David Crockett wrestle?
That I'm not sure. It was early 70s, I guess. Early 60s,
I got this.
Late 60s, 70s.
Too long.
I would have loved to have seen it. And in fact, I'm not sure why they didn't have a Cornette, at least a Cornette David Crockett type thing going, but could be because the match would have been so awful that nobody would ever come back again. Close the doors. I guess I don't know, but it would have seemed
Cornette,
something to be
Paul E
natural.
matches, so I'm sure it couldn't have got any worse than that.
No, that's true.
Glenn said, "Love the Eddie Gilbert photo." Yes, that's a great. Are we?
You're echoing.
Are we echoing for some reason? We've
No,
quit.
you're good now.
I don't know what happened. Yeah, that photograph was while he was working for, I think, the Universal Wrestling Federation. It could have been Mid-South Wrestling, but I think it was while he was with Missy Hyatt. Kirkpatrick, it's a great honor. The times I got to work with Jimmy Valiant. Yeah, Jimmy is one of the greats. Frank Hite, any of y'all ever wrestle in any of y'all ever wrestle in Richmond, Virginia? Great matches. Thanks.
No, never made it to Virginia. Not to wrestle.
Well, Frank, we might have went to Richmond, Virginia, but I'll be honest with you, I've never wrestled ever in my life. I've took a few bumps in my time, but I've not actually wrestled. Me and Rodney really never wrestled. We did more of the promotions, behind the scenes stuff, television, help with the televisions, and that stuff. We never did wrestle. So, Glenn Allen said Welch Goulas, some of the great promoters in professional wrestling, Roy Welch and Nick Goulas. Kevin said Grady Reeves was the Huntsville announcer.
Yep.
Richard Hood said, Jack, it would be accident if I watched 8.
Hey, man, I'm telling you, it is a great show in Fast Forward.
Wow.
Glenn said, Tully's daughter is very good. Tessa, Magnum TA stepdaughter. Yeah, I have seen her, but she might have a little bit of an attitude or something because she certainly gets in trouble a lot where she works. I don't know what
WWE is interested in her. I think this COVID thing is the only thing that's held up them actually doing something with her so far.
She's very good, though.
Yeah, she lives in Mexico City. She just got married to a guy there.
Oh, okay. So Victor said, I remember Magnum TA put up the $1,000 if Flair couldn't beat him in 10 minutes. Oh, it was such a good Brent Rodney, were you the guys in the Idolators, the Heartthrob music video? No, I was not in a. No, not in a video for them. Richard Hood said Lars ran an outlaw promotion in Atlanta back in the late 70s.
Sure did.
And how he ever to work again, I don't know.
He kayfabed the Guinness Book of World Records with that too, because he was in there for a while as being the first wrestler to sign $1 million contract. I kid you not.
Oh, man. Man. Victor Nash said, did Crockett ever wrestle Paul Ellery? I don't think
that I know of.
Thanks, Brent, Rodney, and Jack. Now we, as the insiders, know the rest of the story. We won't steal poor old, what was his name?
Paul Harvey.
Paul Harvey did a great, I'll have to share that one day. He did a great article on wrestling one time, and it was spectacular. They were good friends with Paul Bosch, and they were good friends, and it's a great thing. I'm going to have to share that one day. Michael Barr said, altitude or attitude? We won't go there. We won't go there. All right, folks, it is now time for us to talk about the DX invasion that happened in 1998. Probably the turning point for the WWF to take back over WCW in the ratings. Wouldn't y'all think that, Jack? Wouldn't you think that was what was the turning point?
Yeah, I think that was one of the pivotal points.
On the episodes, what would happen, and for those of you who don't know, but I'm pretty sure everybody does know about this. On episodes of Raw is War in April and May, DX went to war with WCW, with whom the WWF was in direct competition with at the time through a series of legitimate visits to the WCW headquarters and live events. On April 27th, 1998, Raw is War and Nitro both took place in the Hampton Roads area of Virginia. A mere 19 miles apart, the Generation X, which would have been Triple H, X-Pac, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, and Chyna, traveled from the WWF show in Hampton to the Scope in Norfolk, shouted insults and stuff toward the building. Before they went to the arena, they did this little skit that I think we have to give credit. Portions of this have to be given to Vince Russo because I think he wrote portions of this. But they're standing in front of the building, and this is a hilarious part of this show. Did some great little comedy stuff in this, but it was done so well. Rodney, have you seen this?
Yes, I have. Is that the one that had the megaphone? They're saying, was it Eric, let our people go, or something to that degree?
Yeah. This was they broke it down in actual segments, and this was the first segment. And they were saying what they were going to do, and they were saying we're going to go there, and we're going to. And always when they say WCW, they made a like a country accent on it. But they actually got into this little what they called for years. They got in a tank, which it was just a Jeep, but they were all saying this was a tank. But here's a photograph of where they were actually outside the building, and the first thing they asked was, "Does Eric Bischoff suck?" And the people were yelling, "Yay, yay!" But they did try to ask this question: "Does WCW suck?" And the people would not respond to it. Did y'all notice that in this?
Yeah. Yeah, the WCW.
They were there during that day. Now, Kevin Nash said he drove by this and he thought it was just a bunch of wrestling fans or something out there that was doing it. He didn't notice it was them. They asked Eric Bischoff what he was doing. He said he was doing a promo in the ring at this time. The guy, and I can't remember his name, that does the interview, does 83 weeks with him, says, "Now, how was you doing a promo? This was in the afternoon. You don't do the show till the nighttime. So how was you doing a promo?" But this thing right here, what got me is eventually they go to the actual front of the building, and they ask people if they have any of those free tickets that they give out. And then yell, "Let our people go," and stuff like just great stuff. But I'll tell you what I thought. Did the actual people that was like tearing the tickets and the door guards, boy, they looked like they were scared the whole time. Like the old man.
Sure. You never know what's going to happen. But it's funny now. They were not inside the arena, right? Or were they?
No, they were just standing outside.
That would have caused them to be. They could have easily have had the handcuffs slapped on them and taken off for trespassing, so you wouldn't went inside the building.
Well, they said now Vince Russo has told people that he come up with this whole thing. The truth is, no, he was not the one that come up with it. At least that's what Bruce Pritchard has said. He said they were sitting together thinking about doing this invasion thing. And they asked him, they said, "Listen, what should we do about this? What would we do?" And Bruce said, "Well, back in the territory days, the wrestlers would go buy a ticket. One of the meanest wrestlers would buy a ticket and sit ringside and kind of scare them the whole night." So that's where they got the idea to go over to WCW. Now, they knew they couldn't go inside the building. Now, they knew that. They could not go inside the building. But they said that the part where they're going down the railing and they closed that door going down that little ramp, that was just ad-libbed by a road dog. He said, "Hey, that thing's open. Let's go down through there." And they did that just an ad-lib. They wasn't going to do it. It wasn't talked about. They said it was open, so they went. Good stuff. Good stuff. And they did close the door, and they were sitting there knocking on it, going, "Woo! Anybody in there? We only want to talk to you." Good stuff. I wonder what they would have done if they had opened up them doors. Would they have tried to go in anyway?
Well, yeah, they probably would have.
On May 4th, 1988, they also attempted to forcibly secure their way into the studio, the offices, which was in Smyrna, not the ones at the CNN Center, but in Smyrna. And here they are getting out of the Jeep because in the front of it, it said no trespassing on it. And they got out of the thing, read the thing, and said, I don't know what that says. Is that not in English or something? Because I can't read that, and they go on in anyway. They said that the people at the studio called and said there were people with a bunch of guns and a tank. They're going to, and so they brought the whole Smyrna Police Department came out there. They didn't show any of that, I noticed, but it was good stuff in front of there. That the guy that was the security guard, I thought he, Jack, you see that? I thought he worked very well during this. It was really good. But then they go to the CNN Center as well. Now, let's right here's where they're sitting talking to the security guard, and he is keeping his cool the whole time. And but they kind of know. Road Dogg says, "Oh man, I bet they're calling the cops on us. I bet the cops going to be there soon." By the way, with them during this whole thing was Bruce Pritchard. He was with them the whole time. Eric Bischoff said he believed that none of this would have worked as well if it wasn't for Sean Waltman as part of this. Y'all think that was true?
I don't know. I mean, he certainly added to it.
Well, see, he had just fired him.
Yeah.
He had just fired him because he was going through a contract and they agreed to something. And then Sean got with some major attorney and he didn't want to take that deal. So Eric said, well, don't take any deal, then you're fired. And so he comes on television, does that great interview and tells all kinds of bad things about Eric Bischoff. So did that work because it really seemed, again, as a real problem?
Yeah, I mean, that added the legitimacy to it, but the DX as a whole is what made it work. You know, I mean, what X-Pac had going on, you know, that certainly it added to it, but, you know, it took the whole group to make it work. It would have meant nothing for X-Pac to have shown up by himself.
True.
You know, you had to have that whole group to make that work.
Well, Raw on April 27th had a 5.5 rating. Now, I will tell you that Nitro wasn't on that night. It only came on at midnight, so they were unopposed. But the next week, they were head-to-head again. Nitro 4.2, Raw 4.7. So they were on their way to the thing. By the way, WCW sues WWF for $2 million because of them coming to the place and trying to use their intellectual property as they were trying to do that. But you know, great stuff. Here's something they also said about
even today. That's still relevant today.
But it was probably one of the best things that they had done, and I think it changed the scope of what they were doing. Plus, WCW's storylines were just getting worse and worse by the week. Don't y'all agree?
Yeah.
Yep.
We will talk more about a lot of the stuff that went on in the WWF. We'll talk about Bret Hart and going from WCW to WWF. There's so much stuff we're going to talk about because there's so much. They gave us so much ammunition at that point in time back in those days to talk about. So we'll talk about that on some future episodes. If you're watching this right now on Facebook, share and like the page. And if you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, give us that big thumbs up, and go one step further and hit that notification bell. All right, let's go and talk to the insiders, and then we'll get off of here, and we'll next Monday we'll do it all over again. So let's see where I started. Let's see, where was I at here? Billy Johnson said, "Do you guys have a favorite wrestler?" The Road Warriors here. Jack?
Oh, I had a lot. Of course, Lynn Rossi was my first hero in the business. And, fortunately, I got to work with a lot of the guys that I kind of idolized over the years. Got to work with Dusty and so many others. So I've been privileged in my life.
Rodney?
Mr. Wrestling 2. That's been my favorite forever and ever.
I have to say one of my first was Bearcat Brown. Yeah. And then came Mr. Wrestling 2. I love Dusty Rhodes, but Wrestling 2 was my hero growing up, and there was no one could compare to him in my eyes. Victor Nash said while riding on a tank. Well, they said it was a tank, but it was a Jeep. No matter how you look around it, that was a Jeep. I don't know why they decided that was a tank. Billy Johnson said Magnum TA was a great one, too. Yes, he was. Yep. Richard Hood said, well, if I hit the button, he'll say, it was something when DX invaded WCW in Atlanta. This is smart. This is a smart thing to do. They did think about buying a ticket and going in there, but I guess they felt like that probably was going to be throughout in no time. Why didn't Eric let them in? I think Eric would have let them in. Based on what Eric Bischoff said, he would have let them in. If they came, he said, what a great television. And that would have been great television. Yeah. It would have helped him and hurt.
And he didn't have to pay any of them.
That's right.
Yep.
I would have let them in too. Because none of the wrestlers were going to fight them because they didn't care about that. They were all getting paid. They wasn't the actual war was between the two, Vince McMahon and Eric Bischoff. It wasn't really, and it wasn't even with Ted Turner really. Well, Ted didn't know what they were doing. He just knew that he was paying out a lot of money. That's all he knew. Daniel said DX saying WCW was like Andy Kaufman saying Memphis, Tennessee.
That's true.
It was good. It was good. It really was good stuff. Michael Barr said, why did the WWE or WWF back in the day not come and do shows here in the South? I don't think they would draw too well in the South.
No, it took them a while before they could draw down here.
Now, if they put Hulk Hogan on the card, it always drew. Without him, it did. I guess he was the only so-called star. And then eventually that big, mean Vince McMahon goes steal Junkyard Dog, go right back, take him, put him right in the cards in Louisiana and Texas and try to draw. So what WCW did with Razor Ramon with Scott Hall and Kevin Nash was the same thing that Vince did. He would steal everybody's talent and put them on the shows. So
we were talking last night, and Vince was suing because of somebody else's intellectual property, but Vince started it. He brought Ric Flair in. He brought that belt on basically the NWA belt on that show. He started it, and so he really shouldn't have had any. They shouldn't be crying about when somebody did it back to him.
That's true. Everybody wrote down notes, took notes. Okay. Take somebody else's talent to Junkyard Dog, Ted DiBiase, the Spoiler, take the national title with them. So, I mean, the things they could write down was incredible. We got Continental Wrestling has run Birmingham Mondays for 3 years. Let's go right against them. In the same right across the street from them, let's run against them. Knoxville, they've ran it Fridays every other week for years. Hey, let's go to the Thompson Bowling Arena. So don't tell me Vince McMahon wasn't trying to put people out of business. You'll hear Michael Hayes say that he didn't mean to put people. Yes, he did mean to put people out of business. He was working at it, and that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to be the only ball game in town, and he eventually got what he wanted. He was the only ball game in town. They did some shows in the South. They took over TBS back in '84. We try to forget that day. That was horrible. Daniel Lang said both Mick Foley and Steve Austin did incredible promos about Uncle Eric and ECW. Yes,
that Steve Austin interview was probably one of the best interviews ever in the history.
Yes, no doubt. Rick Brooks said, I had my fill of the wrestling business by the time DX came along. Michael Barr, I think China should have gone to the Wrestling Hall of Fame. Sad that she did not. I agree with that.
When they inducted DX as a group, X-Pac, made that statement during his speech that, she should be there with them. And I think eventually she will get recognized. Triple H is not against it. Stephanie's not against it. So it's just a matter. Of course, the Hall of Fame up there is Vince. It's who he wants to recognize. It doesn't really have anything to do with the history of our business per se. It's Vince and who he likes and who he feels like deserves an honor. So till he changes his mind and wants to do it, it's not going to happen.
The thing about it, in 2015, I believe it was, she tried to get some royalties. She hadn't had any royalties in years. So she went to the office and got threw out. Her and an attorney there got threw out. I've read that story today. That's kind of sad to be threw out. That had to make you feel really bad. So that's like going up to somebody that you thought remembered you and didn't even remember your name.
Yeah.
Been there, done that many times. Michael Barr said that CNN sign should still be there. Greg said, Rats, I missed most of the show. Well, go back, replays. You can watch it replay, YouTube, even on Facebook. It's usually easier to find for some reason on YouTube, though. It's just easier to find it. So if you want to find these shows, the easiest way is to go to YouTube and look them up. Michael Barr, why did masked wrestlers fade out? Mystique of who was the hood got me into watching wrestling. Rodney?
Because wrestlers don't want to wear a mask. They want to run around and tell, hey, look, guess who I am? It's kind of like any kind of superhero movie that has a mask on. They run around and tell everybody, guess who I am? I'm Spider. Look, I'm Peter Parker. I'm Spider-Man. Same thing, same exact thing. And they just don't want to do it. They just don't.
Yeah.
They refuse to protect it. Wrestling 2 would protect it with his life, really.
I was going to say there's still masked wrestlers. WWE has some, several of the luchadors up there, but you can find plenty of pictures of them without their mask on out there. So the mystique behind that is gone. So there's really no sense in anybody wearing a mask anymore.
Really, when we started doing this pro wrestling, we all should have worn masks. We could have made people mad left and right. Nobody ever knew it was us.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have this list of people we have to apologize to. Victor Dash, do you think it would have worked if WWF would have tried that crap back in the 80s against NWA? Jack?
No, it was NWA and the territories had the hometown advantage, where it's kind of like the pro teams and the college teams. They were the hometown people. Hometown people would not have put up with it.
Daniel Lang said, according to Flair, Jim Herd wouldn't pay him his $10,000 deposit for holding the NWA belt, so he told him to keep it. And that is what I think Eric Bischoff told him. He would not give him $10,000 for that belt. And it may have been more by then.
I was thinking it was $25,000 was the deposit. My understanding was he finally did get the deposit back.
Yeah. But, until you pay him, it's still his property. So you can't blame him for doing that. Kevin said when Vince put promotions out of business, he forgot he had to train guys. Yes.
Exactly. Now, Triple H has made the statement that Vince has confided in him that he realized that he made a mistake by putting the, territories in his competition out of business. That was where the best talent came from, and now that didn't exist anymore, until Triple H started pushing the farm system so much, like with NXT, they didn't have a real good place to get talent from.
So Richard Hood asked, did anybody like Jim Herd? I don't think they did.
I think his wife liked him, but he got paid a lot of money, so that would explain why.
Poor old Jim Herd. He would never live down the ding-dongs and the hunchback thing that he wanted to do. But WWE wanted to do the same thing years later. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was going to have things on his head that would keep him from going out. So everybody's come up with some stupid gimmick. Let's remember the Mantor from WWF television. TL Hopper, the guy that could not pull his pants up, which was Dirty White Boy Tony Anthony. No wonder he didn't get over. I mean, why would they? Yeah, wouldn't you have brought him in as a Dirty White Boy, let him do his thing? Yeah, it just made no sense to me. We'll answer one more question, and then we'll have to get off here. But Michael Barr asked, "Are they too many title belts in the WWE?"
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes, and of course I've talked about on here before the fact that they are missing the boat by not having one clear number one wrestler in their company. A clear
exactly.
champion. And that to me is just, they know better. They know better. Vince is not. He knows what he's doing. Not sure why they want to do that, but maybe someday somebody will ask him. But it doesn't make any sense to me.
Victor, I always want to cause some trouble. Victor, you're always trying to get that Rodney.
Stirring it up again.
Stirring that up. I'm going to tell you what, he's got that big spoon, he's stirring it up with Rodney and that Kevin Sullivan. Kevin Bentley said, besides Undertaker and Cena, who has Vince built? Not many in the last few years. I would say maybe none. Not to the extent of John Cena. He might have been his last big wrestling star.
There has been no huge stars since The Rock.
This is right. Folks, if you would like to buy some merchandise, you can buy it at Pro Wrestling Inside and Out Facebook page. All you have to do is hit the shop button, and you can go over there and get. We've got Jack the Bomber Lord T-shirts. We've got mugs. We've got all kinds of different T-shirts. Get over there; they're reasonably priced. Support the channel, and it's very reasonably priced merchandise. Guys, is there anything we're missing tonight before we leave?
I believe we covered all the bases tonight.
Rodney, anything we need to talk about?
Well, Victor wants to know if when we're going to do the Butch Reed or maybe the Rock show.
We will be getting those.
Kevin, you too.
We pretty much got everything figured out for the month of December, so we will do that in January. We'll do a Butch Reed show. We'll do a Rock show in January. And because I have to have time to do the research. This research takes a long time to get all the research and find out matches that they had, look up newspaper ads and see if I can make sure those are right and correct. So it takes a while to do so. There was something I was going to say Monday night. Don't miss this Monday night. The Wrestling Conversation does continue. Michael Barr wants to know, do I get a free cigar with the purchase of merchandise?
No, but you can send me one.
But make sure if you have not subscribed to YouTube, make sure you get over there. Like I said, if you want to go back and watch any of our episodes, that is usually the easiest way to find the episodes. If not, a lot of times you have to really search for them on Facebook. So if you've not subscribed to YouTube, get over there and subscribe to it, and you can watch all our episodes. They're easy to find on our YouTube page. Until next Monday night, thank you so much for being a part of the show. We certainly do appreciate it. We have 13,000 insiders following us now on our Facebook page, and we hopefully by the end of the year we're going to have 15,000. if it grows the way it's been growing. And we thank you so much. And if you've, like I said, if you've not subscribed on YouTube, get over there and do that. And we certainly do appreciate it. Jack, thank you so much. Rodney, thank you so much. And we'll see you on the next episode of Pro Wrestling Inside and Out Live.